Hey guys, Mike here. In this video, this is going to be a part one video about who you are. Who are you? Where'd you come from? And I'm going to do this kind of just a lot of different things are going to kind of coalesce into this. That's why it's two videos instead of just one. But just a little disclaimer here. One of the previous videos I've done talks about the difference between beliefs and knowing. And just so you're aware, this is going to contain a lot of beliefs. Okay, so there seems to be three different sort of views on how we got here, like three different views on sort of the nature of reality. And one of those is the creator view. One of them is like a scientific view or theory, and the other is like simulation theory. So we're gonna break down each one of these, and the reason that I'm gonna do that is because before I can tell you who you really are, I have to sort of show you how I got there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna toss out the simulation theory, to me, for a couple of reasons. It seems like the most implausible one. Also, it's kind of the one that can't really be proven or disproven, but it does seem to be just mostly simply just implausible. And not to say that we don't live in some sort of an illusion, like what the Buddha said, but Maya, but that's not the kind of illusion that I think that the people that propagate the simulation theory, I don't think that's not really what they're talking about. So we're going to throw out simulation theory just because it seems to be the most silly. The next is what I call, I guess you could call it the scientific theory. I like to call it like the mathematical theory because I think that's its strongest proof. So basically it would be something like the Big Bang and evolutionary theory, that kind of thing. Now there's a couple of problems with it. First off, it seems as though what the Big Bang is built on is some of these universal, I guess is what universal sort of constants, like the speed of light being constant, or the speed at which galaxies are moving away from each other being a constant. And it's come out, I believe, fairly recently, or in the last couple of years, that they're seeing inconsistencies in this thing. They're seeing that some of the galaxies are moving away at different speeds. So there's not sort of that constant, this particular place where there was a Big Bang, right? So, now I think they're trying to come up with another theory where there's like multiple bangs or something like that, right? But it almost sounds what religion does. So you try to disprove something in religion, and then they come up with a bunch of reasons why that contradiction or whatever could actually not be a contradiction. Anyway, so there's some inconsistencies with the sort of scientific theory, but the strong part of the scientific theory is sort of like what I would call, like I like to call, like the mathematic theory. And basically that's if the universe is infinite, okay, then it's a mathematical certainty that there would be points in the universe where everything lined up the way that we see it here on Earth, where it could produce life or could produce like an Earth. So just once again, if mathematically speaking, if the universe is infinite, then there you would see places where everything lined up just perfectly in order for there to be you, okay, and me. Okay, and I believe that's true. Actually, that's makes a lot of sense mathematically, right? If the universe is infinite. So that's the scientific theory. So the other, like, creator theory, I guess is what you call it, or creationism. This is sort of what most of the world's religions kind of base theirs around, where they're, a god or multiple gods created this reality and created you and me and everything else. So we don't really see measure, we can't really hold any sort of evidence of God. Like, there's no real evidence out there that God exists. Okay, so that's a pretty, that's a real inconsistency with this worldview. A lot of people don't particularly like this worldview or theory, whatever you want to call it, because of how religions have been used to control people. There's a lot of, one of the things that I'm probably the most versed in, passionate about, whatever you would say, is sort of like theology in this sort of area of life, of human thought, and throughout history, and especially the historical side of it. And there's so many issues and arguments. I mean, they're never ending when it comes to different arguments about theology and things like that. So maybe we'll get into those at some time in the future. But really, there's a little, like, dog out there. The main problem is that none of this stuff, like the Bible, for example, none of these things are sort of scientifically proven, no matter what the apologists and these other people, the guy, Ken Ham, I think is his name, with the ark thing. None of these things are like scientific proofs. None of them. I'm not saying that you can disprove a lot of these things, but there's just not a lot of evidence that there's a God. Okay? But there is one thing. There's one thing that is undeniably in your face, and really what makes me side with the creator theory. And that's something that's in all of us. And it's really difficult to explain, but there's this thing. All right? There's this thing in you. It's like the you that isn't this. It's like the you that isn't your body. There's a part of you and a part of me that and it exists in everybody that is like, it's conscious of itself, but it's also not really something that you can point at or pin down or really know in a way. It's almost like it but it's unknown. And you can get that if you really think about it. Like you just kind of go in. You have to kind of be, I think you have to be kind of quiet with yourself, and you kind of go in, and there's a you in there, the I behind the I, that you know, people might call it consciousness. I don't know if that's what it is. I don't really know what it is, right? And this is what I was saying earlier, where there's no real scientific proof of God and things, but there's something there, isn't there? There's something in there, right? You know it. We all know it. There's like something that isn't this flesh. There's something. And to me, that points towards something that is non-physical, right? That wasn't necessarily created. It's almost something, when you really sit down with it and you start to kind of look at it, it seems as though it's always been, and it will always be. There's a part of you, right? It's wild, man. It's really, really wild. I think it's important to get in touch with that, because man, it can really change your perspective on yourself and your perspective on like everyone around you, because everyone else has that thing too. That thing. I think it's what the Bible calls the image of God. That's what I believe. Maybe the breath of God, whatever it is. But, you know, ultimately that ends up being who you are. But then what is it? Right? And I think I've got a theory of that, but you're going to have to wait until part 2 of the video.